Hello, hello, and welcome. I'm so excited to be here with you today, and I'm so grateful for this platform and for you that we can together build new opportunities for ourselves and help others to do the same. My name is Jana Masik. I'm the host of this LinkedIn Live broadcast, Powering Unique You. And here it's all about you, helping you to feel empowered, helping you to feel excited about your life, about what you do in your professional life, and just go after good dreams. And I want to start with honoring today, the day of in memory of Martin Luther King Jr. And the quote that I really like, that I want to share to honor him is, he said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that." And then hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. So I want to encourage us together to be the light in this world. And I want to encourage you and myself and all of us to spread love in this world, so we can hopefully together diminish the darkness in this world and reduce hate around us. So let's celebrate Martin Luther King, and let's do that by being the light in the world and spreading love around us. So my friends, as you're joining in, please tell me hello and let me know where you're joining in from. Tell me how you're doing today. I am so thrilled to spend this time with you. And I have a very special guest today. We're going to talk about something very, very important and also fun in a way. And today's conversation is all about how to celebrate why you rock, to gain the reward and recognition you deserve. It's all about you today. We want to celebrate you. We want to help you feel encouraged, and we want you to get the rewards and recognition that you deserve. And so, my friend, please ask questions. Let me know what you would like to hear today in this conversation. So without further ado, I want to bring on and introduce my wonderful friend, my guest today. She is the Career and Leadership Transformation Strategist. She appeared on Good Morning America, New York Post, The Letters, and dozen more. She contributes to Arianna Hufington's Thrive Global, and she is a sought-after keynote speaker, career success coach, and author. So she launched her company actually in 1988 and published her master's thesis for best practices for virtual teams back in 2001. Isn't that relevant for all of us today, now being in a virtual reality, so to speak? So my friend, she empowers. Her strengths and her mission is to empower individuals and teams to shine the light on your zone of genius. And she's going to help us to celebrate you and to help you shine today. So I want to bring my wonderful friend, Pat Roque. Hello, Pat.
Hey, good morning. How are you? Thank you for having me.
So excited to have you here today. We have some guests showing up. We have Brian from Toronto. So happy to see you, Brian. Pat, I'm excited. I'm excited because today's conversation is all about helping our audience to shine. And I love your background, that through the challenges and difficulties and pressures that you went through in your personal and professional life, your mission and your passion right now is to help others people feel elevated and help them shine. And I would love for you to share your personal story and how the box of rocks literally saved your life and transformed what you're doing right now.
Thank you for that. So it's funny, they call me the rock star career transformation coach, but it's not about me being a rock star. And it's not because my father's name is Rocky. My father-in-law's name is Rocky. My son's middle name is Rocky. My favorite movie of all time is Rocky. I'm Italian. I love marble and granite and stone. Always have, always will. But this box of rocks literally saved my life. Can you see that? You can see that,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So it says 50 rocks, and so do you. And this came because I started my career in pharma in my 40s, got my master's on best practices for virtual teams in 2001 before 9/11, and was very successful in my career. And, some days you're at the top of the heap and everybody wants to be you. Not to
Yes.
sound arrogant, but sometimes things are working really, really well. But sometimes they don't. So life is kind of like ebb and flow. It's not always perfect and it's not always terrible. It's more like an ocean. And
I
when I
agree.
lost my last job at age 50, I was making buckets of money. Honestly, I was. And I felt like I was selling my soul to the devil. So I had been going to work, commuting at one point almost 5 hours round trip a day from North Jersey to Long Island, and starting to feel this incongruity, like some of the things were just not lining up. So on the one hand, externally, it looked like I was living this great life, but I was miserable and disconnected from my family and starting to go further and further away from my why. And money isn't everything. And so I kept saying, this really sucks. Someday I don't know what to do, but I just don't know if I want to do this anymore. And shortly after, I got a phone call and it all went away in one call. Just like what's happening to people now in the pandemic very often, right?
Yes. Yes.
Friday afternoon, thanks, we love you. We lost our funding. We're done. Don't come in Monday. You can even keep the laptop. We don't need it. We're done. And we'll give you a reference. You're the best. We love you. Goodbye. No severance, no vacation, nothing. So I went from rock star, buckets of money, successful, to rock bottom. And I was 50 and I was menopausal and the world was circling the drain. And honestly, I started to take medication to feel better and it gave me really bad side effects. So I started to feel very dark and not myself. And then one day I said out loud, I should just throw myself off a bridge and no one would care. I said the words out loud. And I knew that wasn't right. And I knew that wasn't me. And I knew I had officially hit rock bottom and didn't know what to do with it. And so my best friend dug in the snow. My birthday was in March. So she dug in the snow in February, got 50 rocks, painted them gold, put 50 things special about me in this box that says 50 rocks, and so do you. And they say things like confident. Now, I was not feeling very confident at the time. Look, enjoys life, generous. This one says supportive. Keep secrets. It's funny. One says bitchy, one says one says weird. Like she's my best friend. She knows everything.
It's our
So,
personalities.
right? And so
Yes.
I realized that life wasn't so bad and that I couldn't be so bad if somebody took the time instead of buying me a sweater at Bloomingdale's, which would have been much easier, obviously,
Yes.
to take the time to make me stop and take inventory of myself and realize that I did have worth and I was of value and people did love me and why I rocked. And of course, what did I do, Yana? I cried more because I was just crying all the time.
You're gonna make me cry.
I
Emotional.
cried and
I
cried.
had
I cried for 2 years.
emotional broadcast last week. Now I'm getting shivers from your story,
Yeah,
Pat, because it is real, and I think many today can probably find themselves in where you were, rock bottom, right? And there's no hope. There's no light. There is just no, how do you get out of it? So I would hope that today's conversation will, if you find yourself in this condition or if you're struggling, I hope that today's conversation will help you realize that you have light, you have value, you have worth. Just like Pat just shared with her story very vulnerably, that it's not the end, and there are more things that are wonderful and bright that are ahead of you. So Pat, thank you so much. And tell us, please, how did it spark and pulled you out of that darkness from that rock bottom into you being able to stand on the solid rock to now help others do the same?
Well, it's funny because I just did what came naturally. So I started blogging on LinkedIn, one rock at a time. What does it mean to be generous? Well, don't you feel good when you help other people, right? It's the best feeling in the world. But if no one asks for help, we deprive others of that joy of giving to us, right? So sucking it up and saying, you know what, this was humble pie and I needed help, and realizing it was time to ask.
Yes.
I wrote about being supportive and how you can't just wait for someone to tap you on the shoulder and say, here, Pat, I need help, and this is what I need and how I need it and when I need it, and then someone delivers on the help. It's not that clean and easy. You need to be more empathetic and aware of other people and listen better, because being supportive is about inserting yourself when you see the need, not waiting for someone to ask.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Be proactive in being supportive, not reactive. And so I just would write one blog at a time. I was doing all these little photo shoots with my rocks. It was so much fun. With my iPhone, shooting pictures of the rocks and putting blogs on LinkedIn. And people started calling from around the world. Can you coach me? Can you help me? I feel the same way. Can you come talk to my team, etc.? And all of a sudden, this new brand showed up. I was at a conference and we had to write about our brand and why people love us. And I sat with my pen over the paper and I was literally trembling and I turned white. All the blood ran out of my lips. And I started to sweat. And the woman next to me moved her chair away because she could see something really weird was going on. And I was, for the first time, completely stumped about who I was and how to describe myself. And that night later on, we were having cocktails and our job was to practice our introductions. And of course, what did I do? I cried again. And these lovely women circled around me and they were like, here, have a cocktail. Tell us what's up. And they turned around and told me that I was the Rockstar Career Transformation Coach. They helped me see. I never knew them. They were strangers.
Yes.
And in about 20 minutes, it was so clear to them. But we need perspective.
Yes.
That's what happens. Here's a good way to think about it. And this is what I do for a living, but I couldn't do it for myself. Okay. So if you've ever had a wedding moment or a prom moment, or someone that you know has had a wedding or a prom, right? There's somebody that's up on the pedestal with the dress and all the mirrors are around them. And you're trying to get the feeling of, is this the dress? Is this what I should be doing? But you need your bestie 20 feet behind you to tell you if your butt looks big in the dress. You can't see what you can't see.
True.
Right? True. They made me see that my gift is seeing that in other people and shining the light on other people's zone of genius. And so I never called myself a career coach. I thought that was the silliest idea on the planet. And they told me, no, go start talking to people that have been around you for a while and ask them why they love you and ask them how you've helped them. And multiple people said I was the best career coach they ever met. And I thought they were crazy. And then I started listening. I had an unorthodox career. I've been fired more than once. So it didn't make sense. I did not have that clean, perfect corporate ladder that you think people should have. Well, not me. So it didn't make sense. And so perspective is everything. And listening to others helped me get perspective. And I just started writing it all down and built a system, and then realized maybe I should share this, because if I got stuck, and I'm pretty smart and I'm good at this, and I got stuck, I can't imagine other people aren't feeling the same way. And it was just really born out of love and out of need and being vulnerable and realizing I can't be the only one swimming and stuck and drowning in this place.
This is so true. This is so true, Pat. And I admire you by, digging through all of these insecurities, self-judgment, self-critiques, and, trusting that you can figure things out, and also finding the circle of people that may be strangers at the beginning or at first, but can help you see that perspective, can help you navigate sometimes through the fog, maybe because they've been through that before, or maybe because they just see things from a different angle and see things in you, like you said, that you may not be able to see. And that is a beautiful journey and a beautiful calling. We have people joining in more. Please let us know where you're coming from. Keith, Whitman. My guest from last week was saying hello from Columbus, Indiana. I will help spread love today. Yes, Keith, let's do that together. They're saying welcome, Pat, okay. And Sandra is saying good morning, Jean and Pat, and other attendees logging from DC area. Excited for today's show. And Martin Luther King King quote for today: "We are prone to judge success by the index of our salaries or size of our automobiles, rather than by the quality of our services and relationship to mankind." That is so true. Use me, God, show me how to take who I am, who I want to be, and what I can do, and use it for a purpose greater than myself. This is wonderful quotes. I love them. Sandra, thank you so much for sharing. And Laura from New York is joining in. Hi, Laura. So good to see you today. We're so excited you're tuning in and spending your time with us. It's all about helping you today. And Pat, I am just feel so encouraged by your story and by the wisdom you're going to share today with our audience, because I feel it can resonate so much with almost everyone nowadays, whether people are in jobs or out of jobs. And you've been coaching career-driven professionals for quite some time and their teams for decades now. And how do you see this pandemic affected people's needs and their lives? What are your, observations?
So that's a great question, and thank you for asking it. I did my master's thesis on best practices for virtual teams. It published in spring 2001, before 9/11. So I've been working remotely because I needed to. So I've been doing that for 33 years. So I was already ahead of the time. And then when the towers fell and people lost their buildings and the train systems went down and they suddenly had to do it, I was there to help pick up the pieces and help people feel confident and understand how to contribute or how to stay accountable and how to feel connected and how not to feel so alone. So I did that through 9/11, and I did it through the recession of 08, 09, when people were losing their businesses and their bank accounts and all. So the pandemic, my daughter is a doctor at Johns Hopkins, and she said to me, "Mommy, you were built for this pandemic. You really were," because I'll be honest, in 2019, the year before, I had an injury on the golf course. I tore my Achilles and I was on crutches. And 3 months later, I was in the hospital. I had a blood clot in my leg and a dozen clots in my lungs, and I almost died. They were like, "Do you want a priest, a rabbi, or a minister?" And I'm looking at them saying, "None. Why would I need that?" And they're like, "Which one would you like?" I said, "Do I need one?" They're like, "Yes. So who would you like?" And they were asking about last rites and next of kin and advanced directives. So I almost died that day. And then they under-medicated me, and I almost died that week. And then I went back in the hospital for 5 days. They couldn't tell if I was having a heart attack or heart failure, but my heart was giving out in November of 19. So I thought 2020 was going to be like, this is my year. When the pandemic hit, I had a gift. I'm calling it a gift now. You know, our mess becomes our message. But
yes,
the ability to pause and to realize that life was likely going to be very different than it had been, and that we were going to reassess who we are and why we're here and what we're able to do and what we want to do and what we can do, and to align our vision and our dreams with our reality so that we could still be grateful, because gratitude is with our best self, even if our best self today isn't necessarily the best self it was 6 months or a year ago or whatever. So when the pandemic hit and people were losing their jobs quickly, right? It was like the rug pulled out. I got that. I knew that, right? And feeling isolated. I was used to that. I already had to cancel my travel and stay home and on the bed, and people bring me lunch. Like, it was bad. But now all of a sudden I had power because of all that chaos from the year before. So I was able to talk to people and say, "Listen, this too shall pass, but we don't know when. So you need to figure out what matters to you and your family, career searching, what matters now, and let's reevaluate and reset our priorities." Pay attention now, realizing this is the first time we are all on quicksand together in the whole world.
Yes.
No one on the planet had the answer. anywhere. And we were all afraid of the same thing for the first time ever, right? So that foreshadowing, the things I learned leading into it helped with empathy, because people were frustrated.
Yeah.
They were isolated. The New York Times had an article saying that this was the first time in history we really have learned we've forgotten how to flex our relationship building muscles, right? We've all atrophied that, because what do we talk about? What we've been watched on Netflix, what we've eaten, or what we've made, but we're really not going anywhere. We're really not doing anything. There's all those experiences of normal life before the pandemic that we've all kind of lost for. Think about it. You could have had a very large, very late term baby. Now it's almost 10 months. This is the longest pregnancy on record. I was thinking about that the other day. 10 months. That's a long time, right?
Yeah.
So helping people with feeling okay, acceptance, right?
Yeah.
Gratitude instead of frustration. Teaching them how to reach out and connect to people, to not feel isolated. And part of it was how to get better on Zoom and StreamYard, and learning how to be out there and visible. And part of it was learning how to reconnect, not just talking to the people that what you have for dinner last week, but how about reconnecting with people you haven't seen in 2 or 5 or 10 or 15 years? Because they've got new experiences, they've built new circles of friends, they've learned a lot, and so have you. And so the joy in reconnecting, I literally, before this interview, I just hung up. I introduced one of my current career coaching clients to one of my former pharma clients who I haven't seen in 10 years. And I pinged her the other day. She literally responded in 1 minute on LinkedIn Messenger and jumped in today. I met her Friday on LinkedIn Messenger. Today, she jumped in and just spoke with my current client for almost half an hour, giving her advice and telling her how great, and they may end up working together. Now, how much fun. It's so staying connected, reconnecting, being grateful, being clear on what matters to you now, and learning how to redirect so that you are working on things that matter. So when you're busy moving forward, you're not moving backward, right? When you're in gratitude, if you're grateful, you don't have room for self-pity, right? Because momentum is moving forward. You can't go forward and backward at the same time. So I try to just help people think about the headspace of gratitude, of clarity, of confidence, and that forward momentum. Because now I'm of the school of every day I wake up and breathe is a win. And everything else that happens after that is a bonus. Because I didn't know a year ago if I was going to be here.
Yes, this is all, again, I love that you're saying and sharing again your personal story so vulnerably, Pat, because I believe it resonates with many, the struggles, the difficulties, the challenges. And I agree that sometimes when we go through the messes, through the challenges of this life, and we are able to come on the other side, we can turn it into a message, just like what you're doing beautifully right now. And you've touched on very important points, is in the midst of this, discouragement, even like a fog, a difficulties, the main points that are important are gratitude. And you touched on clarity, seeking clarity. And clarity is so important, because I feel when you're busy, and that's how we used to live our life day by day, you tend to gravitate to just essential survival. And turning back and seeking your soul searching, like you mentioned, doing the clarity work, and how maybe give an advice on how people can focus on gaining more clarity for themselves, for their life, and for their profession. Maybe give us just a tip or two on that.
Sure. Well, the simplest thing that I did was, as I was going through this, I write now, I take notes, I write things down. And I also see patterns in behavior, mine and other people's. And so as I went through step by step, I started to think about things, and you'll want to think about this too. So the first part is about clarity. What are your strengths and your innate talents? Those things you do, like breathing, the things people thank you for. Have you ever had somebody thank you? They're gushy, like, oh my God, thank you so much. That was so great. And you turn around and you say, oh, no problem. No big deal. You're more than welcomed. And you just go about your day. And meantime, you have helped them. Maybe it took you 15 minutes for something that they've been stumped on for years, weeks, months, hours, days, excuse me, hiccups, here I go. But so understanding those innate talents, that zone of genius, those things that you're just built to do. You don't know why you're good at them even sometimes. And we almost miss them because they're so easy for us.
Yes.
If I ask people what your top 5 strengths are, I guarantee, because I have a tool I use that 27 or 28 million people have taken. And so when people take the official assessment, they're sometimes shocked that some of these things are on there because they were so matter of fact. They don't see them.
Yeah.
So that's part 1. The career soul searching. I actually wrote this down. I have a free tool. Your audience is welcome to it. It's rockonsuccess.com/soul, SOUL, like heart and soul. And I made a tool that you could print out or do it electronically and think about, what do I want my legacy to be? Am I happy in my role? Am I happy in my company? Am I doing things that light me up? Am I working in my zone of genius and doing things I'm good at? Why or where am I struggling? I learned, writing this all down, that there were patterns of where I would hit the wall. Like, I'm not super money focused. So my goal is to give you what you need, not what I have to sell.
Yeah.
That just made sense to me. And I actually here's a good story. I was reprimanded once by a former boss. I was in at a client. I was about to pick up a $2 million contract. $2 million. It was about my 8th meeting. And I was in the building and they had a town hall meeting and they were told the whole company was being let go and they all had to reapply for their jobs and all the budgets were frozen. Thousands of people, all. While I was sitting outside my client's door, ready to walk in to physically get a $2 million contract signed. And the guy came out and he had no blood in his face. Like, his lips were white and you could tell he was sweating something. I thought he was sick. And he said, I have to call my wife. Wait right here. I'll be back. He didn't send me away, which is good. And when he told me what happened, and he's like, look, I can't sign this contract. We're forbidden, but here's what's going to happen. And he gave me the lowdown. And I went into work on Monday and I told my bosses exactly what happened. And I got reprimanded. And the guy said, do you know what's wrong with you? And I said, no, tell me. And he said, you care about people too much. I don't give a shit what happened with them. That's not our problem. If they lost, you needed to come out with that contract. And I looked at him and I said, okay. And he said, and you know what your other problem is? And I said, no, please tell me, because I'm always open to learning. And he said, you care about people too much. It's not about what they need. It's about our inventory. And we got to get rid of this inventory. So I don't care what you have to do. Blah, blah. And I stopped and I smiled. And I said, you know what? My father is looking down from heaven with a big smile on his face. And I know you think you just insulted me, but you just gave me one of the biggest compliments probably ever. So thank you for the compliment. Thank you for the clarity. Obviously, we don't have the same value system, and I'd like to plan my exit strategy with you so that this is smooth and no ruffled feathers. It's all good, but I don't belong here, obviously.
Yes.
And so let's figure out what that next step will be, because this is not the right fit for both of us. And so talk about brass cojones, because I was making hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, this was a big, successful job. And I had 2 kids in college and my daughter was about to go to medical school. So, but I knew right then and there, it doesn't get any clearer, that I was selling my soul to the devil. And I kind of knew, but that was the devil himself speaking, right? Out loud. Yeah. So think about clarity, think about confidence. And then the last part is starting to then get clear. And then you start to learn how to articulate your value. So the soul searching assessment will be that place. I ask you questions like, what do you want your legacy to be? If time and money weren't an object, what would you actually do? Yeah. What would you do with your day? Or what lights you up. When you woke up, now I know, look at your face. You can tell that you are in your zone even just doing this live.
Thank
Like,
you.
you love this. It is natural to you. You are genius at it. You are having fun, and the joy is oozing out of you, which is why your followers love you and why I'm grateful. No
Thank you.
doubt. So I don't even feel like I have to ask you the question because you're oozing that joy, right? Leadership
It's
from the front. Isn't
it's
that true?
true. It's true, and
You wake up every day excited.
I agree. I agree with you, Pat, and I feel I agree with you. You gave us fantastic stories today, and the last one really resonated with me. I would love for you to maybe share. You mentioned that you had kids in college, and sometimes it's scary to take that leap. It's almost like a leap of faith in a way. Sometimes it's scary. You look at this, so to speak, a safety net. Like you said,
Mm-hmm.
great job, great position. But then you also look at it, where does it strip you of your internal dignity and misalign completely with your value and cause you to suffer in a way, cause you to lose your soul, you lose your spark and lose your energy. And I find it interesting that sometimes we're forced out. But for those that are not forced out, how do you take a leap? How do you recognize it and then you say, I have to move? And maybe it's scary, maybe a words of encouragement to those that are kind of on that, do I go, do I don't go? It's pandemic. If I quit this job, what do I do? What are your words of encouragement or some advice that you can give to those listeners?
Well, thank you for that. That's a great question. So one of the reasons I built this soul searching assessment, there's actually a scoring grid. So while you're answering the questions, you just answer them one at a time. Don't prejudge. Don't try to manipulate it. Just think about it and answer. But then there's a scoring grid that goes with it. And you can see right in front of you, black and white, in your own words and your own thoughts, where you're stuck and where your big question marks lie. So you know what to think about first.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you that I actually fired a coach because she told me, as I was trying to figure out how do I take my gift and get it out there, and she said that I had to choose between working with a corporate person who wanted a promotion and a raise, or I had to go work for people who said, okay, I've decided and I want to quit and become an entrepreneur. Like that screw the 9 to 5 mentality.
Yeah.
And I said to her, you don't understand. The hardest part, the biggest part of the meltdown, the darkest part was when I knew I had to do something different and I didn't know what to do next.
Mm-hmm.
That question you just asked to me was the most gut-wrenching. Now, this guy being a jerk and saying those nasty things, that was clear. That's almost easy because you can't
Yes.
unhear things.
Mm-hmm.
I always say, think about this. I don't know if you ever saw that show years ago, I Dream of Jeannie, but when Jeannie popped out of the bottle and wanted to be heard, you couldn't shove her back in the bottle. There was no stopping. Some people call it your inner gut, your tuition, the voice in your head, but it feels like a whisper or that little gnawing feeling, and then it gets louder and louder, and then you can't not hear it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got the soul searching assessment and you've got a blatant disconnect between where you are and where you feel in your heart you meant to be, you need to talk to someone like myself. I put a link in there. We can schedule a virtual coffee, but don't do it alone because
Mm-hmm.
I promise it's so much faster, easier, and better when you work with someone who can see around the corners. I've helped 1,000 people through the problem that you probably feel like you're drowning alone and nobody understands you. And not minimizing your feelings, but I'm telling you that when it was me, I felt alone and I didn't know how to get help. And I actually became that exact answer because I couldn't find that answer.
Mm-hmm. I love
People were like,
this.
what do you mean? How could you be stuck? Just do that or just do that. Just decide and then go do it. And I was like, but the just deciding is ripping my insides out.
Mm-hmm.
How do you
Yep.
just decide? There's so many things. It's complicated.
Yep. And I agree. I encourage you, if you're listening and watching and need that clarity and need that guidance, reach out to Pat. She's a great resource. She has a lot of resources as well that she's built on the systems and the frameworks that can help you to really guide through what the next step may look like for you, and get yourself on the path of being in that zone of genius, in that zone of, yes, I'm going to embrace this day and I'm going to be the best I can be today. And Pat, I love that we have some more people joining in and watching us today. We have Valerie saying good morning. Jean and Pat listening from Houston. Valerie, so good to have you here. We have Mido listening from Quebec City. Hello. And Sandra is saying, so true about tug of war between strategy and survival mindset. This is true. Sandra went through that last year as well. And Sandra, I know you can resonate to this conversation very well. Pat, we touched on clarity, and maybe let's talk about confidence, communication, and reconnection. You've touched on some of them a little bit, but I would like for you to give us maybe some actionable, tactical tips that our audience can apply. So for clarity, I know our audience can go and you could actually find Pat's tool that she mentioned about the soul and do some assessment and searching. You can reach out to Pat directly. Confidence, how do you ignite and sometimes resurrect that feeling of, I can do this, I can figure things out? What are your tips on that?
Well, I start by, you can do this on a Google sheet, in an Excel document. I have a tool for it, but start paying attention and tracking your success. So either drop it on a Google sheet. One of the things, a little exercise that's really, really fun, go back and find if anybody has given you in a 360, in an employee review, in an email, in a text, anytime someone has said thank you, I want you to put those into a file, a You Rock folder, Attagirl, whatever you want to call it, good job, whatever you want to call that, start saving them. Get a Google document and start writing them down. And I promise over time, you'll see patterns of the words they use when they're thanking you and why and how you've impacted them. So pay attention to that. If you're as old as I am and people actually sent you little trinkets or cards, or back in the day, we used to get letters on letterhead with raised logo on the top. Remember that? Pull them out, take a picture. So if you have live tools, take a picture and put it in that digital folder. And if you have digital ones, print it out, because I like to have a box with my keepsakes. It's actually, that is what's under my computer to give me, elevate my laptop for this desk. It's right here. And on the front of it, it says thankful and blessed. And my Attagirl, You Rock stuff is inside here. So I have my energy. It's right in front. I just moved. I packed everything I owned. I was in my house 27 years, and I had to pack every single piece of paper I owned, every tchotchke, every thank you note, everything, my business and personal. So I condensed it down into this one little special box, and it sits right here. So have an electronic file, have a printed file, do that list, quantifiable wins. Don't just say, I grew a company. I grew it by blank, X%, X numbers. Did you save time, money? Was it a financial win? Was it an HR win? And not just the hard skills, the technical stuff.
Yes.
How about the soft skills? Pay attention to your ability to have empathy, your ability to lead, even without direct authority. I had somebody, we helped get a job, a global thought leader, because she was running a global task force. And when she went for a job in a company, they said that she had not led a team specifically with the number of people that they were thinking was the right number. And she said, but wait a second. I've led a global task force of X number. They were all C-suite, which means super powered, super busy. And here's how I navigated that. And she went through the process and explained it. And she got the job. And the recruiter said to her, I've never seen anybody. I don't know how the heck you did that, because you were not qualified. The number one question they wanted was somebody with that much leadership experience of X number of people, which you don't have. How did you get that job? So quantifiable wins aligned with the hard skills and soft skills. So somebody, for example, that's applied at Amazon. Amazon publishes 14 leadership principles. So you know what Amazon thinks about, the words they use. And when you get to that last interview, it's a 6-hour, 6-person, 50 minutes each, one block in between for lunch. And they go back to back to back, and you're not allowed to repeat the story. So they'll say, tell me about a time when you were not afraid to fail. And then
Mm-hmm.
they'll say, tell me about a time when you were thinking big. Tell me about a time when it was customer at all costs. Tell me about a time. And they ask you all the behavioral questions in their
Yes.
language. If you're prepared and you've got your quantifiable wins, your hard skills and your soft skills, and you're aligned with your dream role, their mission, their vision, their value, those kinds of statements, it's available to the public. That information's out there if you do your homework. So when
Yep.
you're going in to a potential role or you're networking with people, the connections part comes in, right? So you do the communication, make your LinkedIn profile, sing that song. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to look like I'm trying to be good for everyone. I want you as a hiring manager or decision maker to look at my LinkedIn profile and think, wow, she solves exactly what I need help with, or he
Mm-hmm.
solves exactly what I need help with,
Mm-hmm.
right? Know
Yep.
your target audience and speak to their needs. Because why will people in the career context, why will they pay you? Pain or promise? They want to know that you're a problem solver that's going to be able to put out the fire, or they want to know that here's this big opportunity and you're going to help us get through.
Yes.
Because think about this. This time last year, did anybody have pandemic leader on their job application, in their resume, on their LinkedIn? The pandemic didn't, we heard the word in history books, but
Yep.
we didn't know what it was, right? And we, even when it started, we didn't know that that's what this was
Mm-hmm.
either. So
Mm-hmm.
think about now, people realize resilience and confidence and agility,
Yes.
how to be flexible, how to pay attention to the people around you and make sure you're meeting their needs and that they're whole and they're okay and they're mentally
Mm-hmm.
well, right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole
Mm-hmm.
well-being. If you keep an inventory of that, that's why I like the whole Google Sheet idea, because you'll have it forever. It could grow. You could have
Yes.
500 wins.
It's a commitment to grow, commitment
And
to
you can
your
go
own
back and look at
development.
it. Yeah, and
And
you can
that
go back
will
and look
boost
at it.
your confidence. Yes, it's creating an inventory, and I think anyone needs to do that. I love this advice. It starts from, I think, from school, from college, and going up for the rest of our life. And some of the things I love that you've given advice, Pat, they're not necessarily all tactical, and some of those skills that are not quite easy to measure. Being able to intuitively read where people are, being able to exercise empathy, being able to influence and encourage people. It's not necessarily something you can quantify very easily, yet it seems to be the most needed skill set right now, paired with the technical knowledge as well, that will help you shine, that will help you be seen, that will help you get the rewards and recognition that you deserve. So start building that inventory, start building that confidence, start building that, working on gaining that clarity for yourself, what you want to achieve, and communicate it back like you advised. I agree with you. LinkedIn is a great platform to really shine your genius to your audience. And it starts with clarity, confidence, and then you communicate that in a precise way, in a compelling way, that people that are looking for solutions that you offer, they're going to say, I need to connect with this person. And they may and I may not have a job for you today, but they may refer you to someone that may need your services. There's this is a great opportunity of and I think everybody needs to take advantage of building themselves internally first, and then being courageous enough to showcase who they are on a platform like LinkedIn. And I would love, Pat, for you to give us a reconnection. I know you touched on this a little bit on the beginning, but what the reconnection really means and how can people apply it right now? How do you see people can, steps that they can take to really bring more of a network that is meaningful in their lives?
Absolutely. So one of the fun things is a new social media tool called Clubhouse. Brand new. I've been on it a week and a half or so,
We
and
just
I
chatted
have
about it.
connected, right, with so many cool people, including key
Yes.
influencers and I've introduced my clients to it and everybody in between collaborating with people. So that is really awesome. So I met someone who is hiring and loves hiring people that are in the pharma space, which is where some of my clients are. And he's going to come on live tonight into my private training and talk about transferable skills. And I have somebody else who's going to show up and talk about, she's a HR person at Google, at Facebook, a recruiter. And she's going to talk about, these are the skills we're not willing to settle on. So this is the area, it's not transferable. So I'm sorry, but if you don't know how to, if you're not really solid here, you may need a bridge job, a stepping stone to get closer and then come in and apply next year. When it comes to reconnecting, what about, imagine if you did this simple idea. What if you went on LinkedIn and you gave 1 or 2 or even 5 would be great, 1 a day, recommendations to other people you haven't seen, and reached out and said, it's been a while, Happy New Year, how are you and your family? I was thinking about your advice, blah, 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 and I incorporate it every day. I reached out to my boss from 1993 and told him how much I valued. He used to always say, do once, use many. And I was like, why does he say that all the time? It's because you don't need to reinvent the wheel all the time. If you have a system in place, you can then listen to people's needs and figure out, how can I adapt it and make it really easy for them to get ahead and succeed without everybody. It's exhausting doing everything one-offs. Exhausting. So I think he's retired. He's not looking for growth, but I wanted him to know how much he impacted. So reach out to people. If you give them a recommendation, they may turn around and give you one as well. So that'll grow your background. And again, now your LinkedIn recommendations, I have 80 something, 82, I don't know, 80 something. And when you are having a down day, you can go back and look and think, wow, I'm not that bad. Things are pretty good. It's like the boss.
These are your confidence boosters, right?
About reconnecting.
Yes.
This woman who showed up today and helped my new client that I haven't seen in 10 years. And she wasn't my best friend 10 years ago. She was a colleague, but not my A-list inner circle bestie kind of colleague. And I figured, let me reach out. The worst she could do is ignore me or say she's too busy. You have to be willing to, I don't want to say be embarrassed, because it's not embarrassing. I guess that's the point. Just do it.
Yes.
You have more of a chance at finding joy, right? There's better shot at finding joy and learning something new or putting a smile on both of your faces. So don't be afraid, reconnect. Don't self-judge and say, oh, I'm not that important, because that's what people are worried about. I talk to so many people all the time, and that's the monkey mind that many of them say, it's only me. Why would so-and-so want to speak with me?
Yeah.
Right?
That
we
is
all
true.
feel that way. Adam Grant, who is a workplace behaviorist, he writes for the Wall Street Journal. He's a TEDx speaker. Adam Grant is his last name. I love him. I've been following him for years. And he's the one that got me realizing that the reconnecting is even more important than the connecting. Don't just get lazy and try to talk to the people that are current, but flex that muscle and reach to the other. So it's really about reaching out. If you just reach out and say, hi, Happy New Year, hope you're healthy, or they're beautiful quotes that you just had from the Martin Luther King Jr. quotes. What if you said, here's something that inspired me today. I thought it would put a smile on your face, and share that with folks.
Yep, that's great.
Simple. Isn't that an easy one?
It's simple. I love this. It's practical.
And they're in your feed. They can borrow the ones that are right in your feed if they don't have.
I love this. I love this. We have Camille saying, so true. Hello from Georgia, Camille. Keith is saying, thank you, Jana and Pat, for today's stimulating message. Thank you so much, Keith, for joining in. Pat, this has been a great conversation. You've given so much encouragement and just through sharing your personal stories and journeys, just a glimpse of it's possible. It's possible. I think the power is in your hands. And this is what the show is about. Take that power, realize that you are worthy, that you are valuable, you are unique. And realize that you can do that. Surround yourself with people, reconnect, reach out to new people. And Pat, maybe as we close the show today, what is or advice that you can share with our audience?
I think that first of all, this has been so much fun. So thank you for having me. I think one of the most important takeaways, and it's about as simple as it gets, is to remember that you're not supposed to be good at everything. None of us are. Our collective team should be. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I don't hear you all of a sudden. How about that? Let's see. Is that better? Is that better? Can you hear me? Sorry, that's weird. 1 second.
There you go. I think we fixed it. Did we fix it?
That should be. There you go. Okay. So you're not supposed to be good at everything. Your collective team should be. So it gives us the space to forgive ourselves for those moments when we feel like, why am I not so great at this or that? You're not supposed to be. It's okay. That's why we need each other. We lean into one another, and that's where the fun begins. So celebrate why you rock, right? Be your authentic self. Just do you. That was the final saving grace that really turned the light bulb on for me to help me stop feeling so bad when I was in that negative headspace. And even to this day, it's always about together we rise, all ships rise with the tide. So just think about the world in terms of how much joy and fun it is meeting and collaborating with other people. And if you're clear on your gifts and what you can bring to the table, you'll then also be able to say, and I could use help here, and together we will rise together.
I love this. You can hear me right now, right, Pat?
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me? What's going on with my microphone? Hold on. Mute. Here you go. How about right now? Can you hear me right now? No?
No, I don't.
Give me 1 second. Let me try. My
Maybe the audience can tell us if they hear us, but I don't hear you all of a sudden.
Microphone.
Isn't technology great?
Yes, it's fun. It says I can hear it. Do you hear me? Can you hear me right now? No? Still not?
I don't hear you.
You can hear Jana. Maybe Pat needs headphones. They're saying they can hear you. Okay. They say they can hear us both, but maybe you need to put your headphones on.
Let me try it again.
How about now? Can you hear me now? There you go. Little technicalities. There's your live video. I do not know what happened here with the technology, but somehow things are playing tricks. Thank you for being patient with us.
The joys of live.
The joys of live. There you go. I can hear you. All right. Now, Pat, you're good?
I don't hear you.
All right. So let's do that.
I'll just wave. You can.
All right. Well, thank you, Pat, so much. Let me see if I can bring her back. How about right now? Edit mic settings. No. All right, Pat, we're going to close. Today. All right. Thank you so much, Pat. I do not know what happened. All right, we're gonna fix it out. I hope that I hope that you can hear me as well. My apologies for the technical issues right now. Well, I want to say it's been a fantastic conversation. It's really been an enjoyable time here with you. And I want to say thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining in today and for listening in. Pat has shared her tremendous personal stories and encouragement, and I hope that you have been inspired and encouraged as well as I am. Let's find clarity for our way, forward. Let's gain confidence and communicate what we stand for, communicate, shine forth who we are and what we can help others to achieve, and reconnect with others. So I believe this message is really valuable, and I hope it added value to you as well. Thank you so much for joining in today, my friends, and I will see you again next week. Take care.